Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I wanted to talk about the whole Douglas Murray thing one more time for a couple of different reasons. Mostly because I just kind of feel like talking about it now that I've seen a whole slew of other content creators, much bigger content creators than me, but whole slew of other content creators basically saying the same thing I did, after I put out my video right after watching the thing. So it's kind of cool to see that my initial opinion was in fact borne out online by the majority of people that, I watch and I'm interested in hearing from. So it's kind of cool to see that I don't feel like I was too far off the mark. And it's also just kind of interesting that for my gaming channel and this brand new channel and any other channel I've ever done, that video was by far the best performing. It's continuing to go. I'm at over 5,000 views, which for me is like a lot. I know that for bigger channels it's nothing, but for me 5,000 views is a lot, and a whole bunch of likes and a whole crap load of comments, and like my videos don't typically get that kind of interaction, so it's just really kind of cool to see that. So I just wanted to say thank you to those of you who watched, and I just wanted to put it out there that I'm grateful that that video did really well. It's nice to have what you say and the things you put out there in the world validated by other people. Obviously, for the most part, we don't really care what anybody else thinks, but at the same time, you kind of do. So it's nice when that happens. Now, I did want to continue. I did want to go into another aspect of that particular thing now that I'm not frustrated and annoyed, and I've actually heard some other people say some things about it. I'm not going to sit here and defend Douglas Murray at all. That his participation in that conversation was completely unjustified, and the way he handled it, regardless of how his point of view was of the Israel-Palestine thing, whatever. The argument and attack that he took trying to push forward that argument was just completely ridiculous, and there's nothing you can say about it. And so I was super infuriated the entire time I was watching that. I literally had to like pause the episode several times after he said certain things where I was just like, okay, what? But, setting that aside, I want to look at a specific aspect of this entire thing because I think it kind of highlights one of the major problems that we have in our modern society. And that is that, when you start to get emotional about something, you really start to let the rational side of yourself go away. I don't really know that much about Douglas Murray. I've seen him a few times on like Joe Rogan, and I've seen a couple of videos where he's talked about specific things, but I don't really know him that well. But when I've seen him, for the most part, I felt like the arguments that he was making made sense, and he seemed to be pretty rational about it and all of that kind of stuff. But it seems like on this one specific issue about Israel and Palestine and all that stuff, he has this really strong, visceral, emotional attachment to a specific point of view, and that's a really dangerous thing to do. It's really a dangerous thing to kind of wade into something that is a highly controversial and emotional topic, especially when you're one of the ones that are really focused and have that emotional aspect of it to yourself. You could tell during the conversation that anytime either Joe or Dave brought up something that he found to be objectionable, it sparked a really strong emotional response. You could see it on his face every time something was said that seemed to kind of contradict what he was saying. He's so emotionally invested in this Israel-Palestine thing that it kind of just shut his brain off. It's clear that he had nothing to say. He was just outraged and angry and just, how dare you, how dare you, how dare you. I kind of felt like I was watching Greta Thunberg the whole time, just how dare you. And, I think it's really important for us to, if you're not the kind of person who can control your feelings on a subject, you might want to take a moment to really think about whether it's smart for you to participate in a debate about said topic. Because if you go into a conversation with somebody and you're basically just trying to shut them down rather than have a rational discussion with them about whatever it is that you're talking about, that person certainly is not going to listen to you. I mean, the chances of anybody who is already on the other side of whatever it is that you have to talk about actually listening to and changing their opinion is virtually zero. The purpose of a debate is not really to convince the other person to change their mind. It's to allow other people listening to the conversation who maybe haven't formed an opinion or have formed a strong opinion at least on that particular subject. It allows them the chance to hear all of the facts and maybe decide how they think about it. And the only way you're going to be able to capture those people is through rational discussion. As soon as you start allowing your emotions to surface and start becoming this thing that is ruling you instead of you controlling yourself and actually presenting information in a way that makes sense, as soon as you start letting that happen, we as emotional creatures start to sense that immediately. We start to see, oh, he's not actually like debating anymore. He's just fighting now. And that's one of the things that we really need to keep in mind, because rational discussion is the only way that we're ever going to get anything done when it comes to trying to figure out these complex and highly controversial, crazy topics that we have to deal with in our modern world. Everybody's going to have a feeling about something. You're going to disagree about whatever topic it is, from abortion to, political things, to all of these different things that people have really strong emotional feelings about. I know. I speak extemporaneously and these things come out. I'm not going to sit down and write a script, so sometimes things like that come out. People have really strong feelings about these topics, and they're really firmly entrenched in those things, not necessarily from a rational perspective. They feel like it should be a certain way, and they don't really put any time or effort into thinking about why it could or maybe should be a different way. And the only way you're going to pull them away from that is by presenting the facts and giving them a chance to, and just encouraging them to set their feelings aside and look at it. And if you're the one in the middle of the conversation speaking from an emotional place, you're not in a position to do that. In my opinion, in my opinion, from what I observed, it seems like obviously he's captured by this certain ideology when it comes to the topic they were discussing. That's obvious. But it's not just that he's captured by that ideology. He's also emotionally invested in that ideology. And I think that, I would never tell anybody they can't talk about a subject like he would. But I would say maybe have a conversation with yourself before you agree to go in and talk about something, and decide if you're going to be able to maintain any kind of self-control during that situation. Because if you're not, you're probably going to do more harm to your argument than good, because you're not going to be putting out things that make sense. Emotions will never win you an argument. Never going to win you an argument, because it's going to end up making you say things that don't make sense, or it's going to make you say things in a way that are condescending, and the other person on the other side is not going to want to listen to you, or it's going to cause you to get frustrated when the other person isn't listening to what you say, and then you're just going to become an asshole, and then the conversation devolves from there. So I'm not making this video trying to put a silver lining onto Douglas Murray. He really just shouldn't have went into that interview to begin with, given how he feels about the subject. He should have been, he's been at this for a long time. He should have been self-aware enough to know that he was too emotionally invested and too emotionally captured by this subject to have any kind of a reasonable discussion. And if you're going to go on Joe Rogan, of all places, you have to go in with a reasonable mindset, because if Joe doesn't pull you, if the guest doesn't pull you apart, Joe will. And you saw several times during the debate that Joe was looking at him like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? So I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you very much for watching my first video. It's really cool that one of my videos actually, from my perspective, went kind of viral. And then number two, for yourself, so that you don't fall into the same trap that he did, you be very careful about where and when you choose to speak about things, especially if you have any kind of emotional investment. If you're married or if you're in a relationship, you know this already. And if you're not, you should learn it. So again, thank you very much for your time. Hopefully that helps some of you in some way to maybe avoid some of the pitfalls that people like Douglas Murray end up wading into. Be sure to click the like button, subscribe to help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers so that we can monetize the channel and hopefully start pumping out more content on hopefully interesting topics like this. If you have any interesting things that you'd like me to cover because, you saw my first video and you thought that was cool, be sure to become a subscriber. Be sure to make yourself a public subscriber so that I can see your comment, and then maybe I'll make a video based on your suggestion. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.